Broadcasts of HIKI NŌ are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo. And by Bank of Hawaii Foundation, investing in Hawaii's future by promoting collaboration, critical thinking, and other 21st century skills through HIKI NŌ.
Aloha, I'm Leigh Omalama Solomon.
I'm Shane Broster.
I'm Jace Bannister.
And I'm Jade Sarayakoff. We're in Waimea on the island of Hawaii on the campus of our school, Hawaii Preparatory Academy.
Home base for today's episode of HIKI NŌ, the nation's first statewide student news network.
HIKI NŌ means can do, and you'll see just what students from our team of schools can do.
This episode's team is made up of intermediate and high schools from 4 islands.
From Kauai, there's Kauai High and the Chiefess Kamakahelei Middle School.
On Oahu, we have Waianae Intermediate, Kalaheo High, and Damien Memorial School.
From Maui, you'll hear from Lokelani Intermediate and Maui High.
And of course, from Hawaii Island, HPA, home of the Kamakahelei.
On this show, you'll hear from diverse voices across the island chain,
telling stories that connect communities.
On HIKI NŌ.
Can do.
Before we introduce our first story, we'd like to recognize the grant organizations that made HIKI NŌ a reality.
They believed that Hawaii could create the nation's first statewide student news network.
They put their faith in us and said, can do. To them, we say mahalo.
And now, on with the show. One of the advantages of living on the Big Island is the seasonal snow that falls on Mauna Kea. Nearly 2 million years old and standing over 13,000 feet, this mountain becomes a winter wonderland for residents on a few lucky days of the year. The varroa mite is a parasite that has been threatening bee populations around the world, and Hawaii is no exception. For the first in a 2-part team coverage, we traveled to Kauai, where Chiefess Kamakahelei Middle School weighs in on this growing problem.
A tiny little creature the size of a pin's point called the varroa mite has infested most of the world, including some islands in the state of Hawaii, devastating the honeybee population by the billions worldwide every year. Without honeybees, there would be less vegetation, leading to higher prices on fruits and vegetables. But luckily, with the Department of Agriculture, they keep an eye on monitoring our honeybees to see if the varroa mite came to Kauai. But how?
On Kauai, I am monitoring swarm traps set up at the ports of entry, such as harbors and the airports, which I do about once a month, and so that we can find out if there's any pests and diseases that come into Kauai, such as the varroa mite.
Just like the Department of Agriculture is working hard monitoring our honeybees, the Kauai Beekeepers Association is also keeping a close eye on the tiny varroa mite.
The Kauai Beekeepers Association was founded about 2 years ago on Kauai because people who take care of honeybees heard about these pests called the varroa mite, and they were concerned that our honeybees would be injured or harmed by these pests.
We're working with the state, Craig Kanashigi and Darcy and the folks from Oahu, but Craig lives here. They're putting out the swarm traps around the island in order to catch any swarms that are coming in and try to monitor my bees.
These little tiny mites hitchhike on our honeybees, where it's so tiny that it jumps on the backs of our honeybees and attaches to them and sucks their blood, actually makes them sick. And then it can lay eggs and go into the hive, and they can hitchhike their way from honeybee to honeybee and beehive to beehive. And so they can make from one sick bee, pretty soon you have a lot of sick bees and it becomes a big problem.
Should the varroa mite come to Kauai, there will be a decline in the pollination for tropical plants that need pollination. Prices of fruits and vegetables will increase and cost us a lot. The varroa mite is one of the pests that we have in Hawaii, and for Kauai, hopefully it doesn't arrive here soon.
Can you imagine Kauai, the garden isle, without any gardens? Well, sadly, this situation could be a reality due to the varroa mites, and the result wouldn't be sweet. But with the knowledge of the Kauai Beekeepers Association and the Department of Agriculture, the varroa mites won't be hitchhiking our way anytime soon. For HIKI NŌ, this has been Casey Moser reporting for Chiefess Kamakahelei Middle School.
Continuing our team coverage of the varroa mite issue, we journey to Maui High School where Rachel Barreto gives us insight into why bees are important in everyday life.
Tourists come to Maui for the island's ravishing beaches, scenery, tropical climate, and cool trade winds. Condé Nast has named Maui the most beautiful island in the world for 16 times. But most people fail to see what's behind all this beauty.
Well, if you think about what you ate today, what clothes you're wearing, where every single bit of your food came from, the majority of all of these products in some way, shape, or form depended on honeybees.
It's a colonizing selective pollinator. In other words, it's a bee that's an insect that propagates all year round, and it pollinates the fruits and berries and the seeds and things that the forest needs to, what needs to support our forests and our watershed.
Although only 1.5 centimeters in size, the honeybee is the most important insect to our environment.
The honeybee affects everything and everybody, all the insects, all the different kinds of plants.
However, the recent decline in the bee population has some worry that Maui's environment is changing.
We are in a real critical stage right now, and the bees is the one that's telling us that. We only have honey here one time a year now. So it went from extracting honey 3 times to now 1 time.
In the past 5 years, 2 pest problems have stung the bee population.
They are already showing that we have severe population decreases of honeybees on Oahu and Big Island. And these pests being varroa mite and small hive beetles. They have a symbiotic relationship with a fungus, which actually will cause the honey to start fermenting. So you get this beetle inside, you get the larvae going, you get this symbiotic relationship with the fungus happening, you get this fungus overpowering the hive, the bees leave.
But according to Morihiro, Maui's only commercial beekeeper, these parasites can be controlled with pesticides, traps, and constant hive monitoring. However, Morihiro is concerned about a much larger issue.
The bigger problem, other than the mites and the beetle, is that because of the wind. That means that all that moisture is being drawn out of the ground by the wind.
Yeah, we've been changing land use. I mean, this is something general for agriculture in general. That's changing what plants are available. And it's going to take, you know, everybody thinking along the same lines that, hey, we got to make our environment a little bit more bee-friendly. The world will exist fine without us. The world as we know it will not exist without honeybees.
This is Rachel Barreto from Maui High School for HIKI NŌ.
If you'd like to stay connected with HIKI NŌ, log on to our Facebook page. It's filled with photos and current info regarding the show. You can also follow us on Twitter at HIKI NŌ Can Do. It's a great way to get reminders about upcoming episodes.
Wai'ANAE is a well-known farming and ranching community home to some of the freshest produce and grass-fed beef. We are here at the Rincon family farm located in the Lalamilo farm lots. This is the only farm on the Big Island that produces strawberries. Operating for 23 years on 20 acres, this farm supplies local grocers and hotels along the Kohala coast. We'll now go to Oahu and Damien Memorial School for a story about one of their notable alumni who is a member of Hawaii News Now's Sunrise Morning Show.
I wake up in the morning, I come to work at about 3 o'clock. As soon as I get down, I start reading into the show. What are the latest events? What are the latest videos that we haven't seen? What are the biggest stories of the day? The producers usually have a rundown that's set up, kind of like what you guys deal with, I'm sure, with HIKI NŌ. You know, what are the top stories? What are some of the kicker stories, the funnier stories? You know, and you kind of set up a rundown. They set up the flow, so I kind of get into scripts. I start writing. I start checking some of the things. Then we all meet at a certain point and we kind of discuss, you know, what the general plan is.
Steve Uehara, who is well known for being a recognized newscaster for the Sunrise Morning Show on Hawaii News Now, is also humble, grateful, and constantly looks for challenges to grow both in his professional and personal life.
As far as career, where I'm incredibly comfortable, and that's not to say that I don't try to push myself every day, you know, and I think a big part of trying to be a successful person is that every day you challenge yourself with something different. You keep reading up on stories, you keep being relevant, you keep trying to stay on top of things that are important to other people. But at the same time, I work with a crew that is unlike any other that I think. The people that I work with, I love going to work. I love seeing Dan and Howard and Tanya and my producers and everybody else that is there. It's just fun.
Steve shows his professionalism and poise on and off the camera, and he says he owes it all to the way he was brought up that led to his success.
Discipline, respect, hard work, humility, and these are things that I think no matter what you do, whether you're going to be a journalist, you're going to be a police officer, a firefighter, work at the shipyard, you're going to be an engineer, these are values that are going to go with you wherever you go, and that will serve you well in whatever industry that you're hoping to excel in. Those are things that I fall back on all the time. You can learn other things, but those were the rock. That's basically the rock that you build yourself upon, and then after that you go for it. Damien taught me so many things, and a love of God, and just a better understanding of what a better person is supposed to be.
Steve's story is a lesson of humble beginnings of a man who did not give up on his dream. If you have a dream, pursue it too. You can be anything you want to be. All you have to do is believe. Reporting from Damien Memorial School, I am Patrick Pascual for HIKI NŌ.
We now take you to Maui and Lokelani Intermediate for our Student Voices feature. Let's hear how some of the students there responded to the question, if you could be a TV character, who would you be?
I would be Animal from the Muppets because he is very funny and he's excellent at the drums.
I would be Mr. Popper because he gets to live with penguins and I like penguins. He was sent a surprise package with tons of penguins in them.
I would be Isabella from Phineas and Ferb because I can relate to her. She's a great leader, she has a great sense of style, and she's funny.
Allie from Austin and Allie because Allie, she's a good songwriter and she's funny, smart, and shy.
I would be Cece from Shake It Up because she's a really good dancer and she's outgoing and she has the best friend, Rocky, and she's really nice.
If you'd like to comment on this story or anything you see on HIKI NŌ, join the discussion at facebook.com/HIKI NŌ can do or send us a tweet at twitter.com/HIKI NŌ can do.
I'm standing in front of the Energy Lab at Hawaii Preparatory Academy. With this building, HP is the first school in Hawaii to achieve certification under the LEED for School's 2.0 rating system. The Energy Lab has also achieved full certification under the Living Building Challenge, has been described as the world's greenest K-12 school building. This building opened in April 2010, provides indoor and outdoor classrooms, allowing students to study sustainable living techniques, alternate energy strategies, and serves as a model for buildings of the future. At one point in time, Hawaii was home to over 50 different sugar mills. This story visits one on Kauai in the heart of Lihue town.
The Lihue sugar mill started in 1848 and was a major supplier and producer of sugar. The old plantation tracks can still be seen, and the grounds of the mill are littered with signs from a past era. The plantation was in operation since the 1800s, up until the year 2000, when the mill was shut down, smokestack went dry, and the gates were closed and locked, and they've been that way ever since. Ernesto Ancheta was employed by the mill for 20 years.
Well, they just gathered us one morning up at the cleaning plant, told everybody to assemble up there, and the manager told us that the parent company, JMB, decided to close the company down.
Since then, public access to the grounds have been restricted, and the mill has become run down. And the building itself has also become a popular historic landmark for those who travel this route on a daily basis or for those who pass it for the very first time. But there's more to it than just the broken glass and graffiti-covered walls. The inside of the mill is plagued with asbestos, a chemical that is known to be cancerous.
There was asbestos. That was one of the things I was afraid of whenever they sent us out on jobs.
Which makes the Lihue sugar mill decommissioning project all the more complicated. According to a recent article in the Garden Island newspaper, a contractor has been hired and given the responsibility of asbestos mitigation and mill dismantling. Regardless of the timeline that the Lihue sugar mill comes down, one thing is certain, that it is a true historic landmark that has helped shape and grow our island culture.
It provided a lot of foundation for a lot of families. They brought workers from all over different countries, Philippines, Japan, and Portugal, and whatever. I remember growing up, we used to live in a plantation camp, and there were many plantation camps all around the island. It was fun growing up in a plantation camp. You got along with everybody. You know, you could leave your door open, and nobody would steal anything. Neighbors knew each other. They acknowledged each other. Not like today. Today, some people don't even know their neighbors across the street, or don't even associate with their neighbors.
Reporting for HIKI NŌ from the island of Kauai, I'm Dylan Ancheta.
The equestrian program at Hawaii Preparatory Academy was founded by longtime HBA teacher Dick Thompson with 8 horses in 1957. Today we have about 30 horses in our program, all raised by Dick Thompson. These horses are of Mustang, Percheron, Thoroughbred, and Morgan ancestry, the old Park Ranch breed before it was replaced by quarter horses in the 1970s. That's the breed the Paniolo used to ride. The school's equestrian program is open to every student regardless of expertise or experience. The horses are finished for dressage at the training level or beyond, jump 3 feet or more, do rough country trail riding, play 3 to 4 goal polo, and can work at brandings. Recreational paddling is a popular pastime for those who live in the Kailua Kai community on the windward side of Oahu, and in recent years, competitive paddling has emerged as a top sport at Kalaheo High School. Our next story covers a canoe company who has steered their business in a direction towards keeping jobs, manufacturing, and canoes 100% local.
Outrigger canoe paddling has emerged as one of Kalaheo High School's strongest sports. Many of Kalaheo's paddlers have grown up in the Kailua community where paddling is a very popular pastime. In 2007, Kamanu Composites, a local canoe manufacturing company, was started in Kailua. Everything from cutting the materials to the final buffing is done by trained employees who strive to do quality work.
We felt like it's important to do it here, where we practice the sport rather than outsourcing it to some place like China. They do a lot of manufacturing, but they don't do any paddling.
With tough economic times here in Hawaii, Kamanu still keeps it local. After receiving offers from Chinese manufacturers, they still choose to use local manual labor.
We've always shied away from anything to do with manufacturing in China. Where it's tempting to get something made in China, because we get offers all the time from Chinese manufacturers to make, whether it's Yako sleeves or small parts, and they're so cheap. We've always wanted to prove that you could manufacture canoes in Hawaii.
With Kalaheo High School down the street from the Kamanu shop, alumni who paddle for the school can now continue their passion of paddling.
Having a shop locally in Kailua really helps with the commute from practice to school to work and everything. Producing boats locally has really helped my paddling excel by giving me a flexible work schedule to base around my paddling workouts.
Kamanu Composites' popularity continues to grow. They have canoes being shipped all over the world. By experimenting with new designs, they plan to keep developing and becoming better.
We're kind of dreamers, so the sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned. We kind of named ourselves Kamanu Composites because, we had the idea of building other products eventually. We are extremely focused on canoes. That is our core product.
They hope to one day have shops all over the world and still provide quality handmade canoes from local people.
So I feel like the future really will be based on local manufacturing, and whatever it is, it's just important to, as much as possible, produce it locally.
This is Nick Herrera from Kalaheo High School reporting for HIKI NŌ.
If you'd like to stay connected with HIKI NŌ, log on to our Facebook page. It's filled with photos and current info regarding the show. You can also follow us on Twitter at HIKI NŌ Can Do. It's a great way to get reminders about upcoming episodes.
And now, back to Lokelani Intermediate for more students' voices describing which TV character they would be.
I would be Patrick from SpongeBob because he is big, strong, and funny, and yeah.
If I could be any TV character, I would be Princess Bubblegum from Adventure Time because she's sweet, smart, funny, and it's made of bubblegum.
If I can be any TV character, I would be Goku because he has powers and can fly.
If I could be any TV character, I would be Phineas from Phineas and Ferb because he always has crazy cool ideas, he's very daring, and he's not afraid to share what he thinks.
I'd be Miley Cyrus because she's my idol and she's a great singer.
If I were a TV character, I would choose Jake the dog from the cartoon show Adventure Time because he is courageous, he has stretchy powers, and he can shapeshift.
If I could be any TV character, I would be China from Ant Farm because she has this great musical talent that I wish I could have.
The Stanford W Shoes track opened on September 13, 2010. The track was built in honor of longtime HPA teacher and coach Stan Schutz, who led Hawaii Preparatory Academy to its first state championship in 1984 in cross country and then again in girls track in 1995. New additions include a rubber track, spectator seating, and a newly renovated football field. And now let's go to Oahu and visit a student at Waianae Intermediate School who knows how to enjoy life despite the many obstacles in his life.
Kavika Palakiko is a typical 13-year-old boy who enjoys basketball, playing video games, and joking around.
My brother, Damien.
We act like regular brothers do. You know, we fight, we play games with each other, we watch TV, we tease each other, we make each other laugh.
He also has dreams for his future. He wants to be
a superhero.
But before he can save the world, he has to overcome a few obstacles.
He was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. It affected his muscles and he cannot walk. And he was also exposed to ice. His mom was on drugs, so he had ice in his system and that kind of destroyed some of his nerves too.
Unfortunately, in spite of his happy and loving personality, some people fail to see who he is inside.
They look at him like he's different, but he's not. So when you see him, his legs don't work. His mind works, his heart works. And I just wish everybody would just treat him normal. People gotta see past the chair.
And those who can't miss out on who he really is.
Even though Kavika is very hard to understand, he's really hilarious. He is very friendly. He's very nice to work with too.
Some students, they're settled in their special need, so they feel like there's no way for them to ever overcome it or to adapt it to whatever their situation is. Kavika doesn't see life that way.
In fact, Kavika's bright outlook on life has had a positive impact on those around him.
This is a poem that I wrote when I was in 6th or 7th grade. He really inspires me to be a better person on the inside and be more positive towards people that I meet. People look, but they don't see him. They see a wheelchair, a little boy, skinny legs, a boy who cannot walk. He has cerebral palsy. Look past his chair. Look past his sickness. Look at his smiling face. He's a happy kid. Open your eyes and see him, my brother Kavika.
And if people choose to look beyond Kavika's disability, they will find a young man who turned challenge into opportunity, who proved that an individual confined to sitting in a wheelchair can be a stand-up person who is inspiring to all. This is Shaylin Torres reporting for Junior Sea Rider Television.
We're here at Hapuna Beach for HPA's annual Olympic Beach Day. The class challenges mark the end of the third quarter and bring us to the end of the show.
We hope you've enjoyed the stories that were shared from around our islands.
So join us next week to see what the students of Hawaii can do, only on HIKI NŌ and only on PBS Hawaii.
We leave you now with a montage of the sights and the sounds of our campus in Waimea.
See you next week. Aloha!
Broadcasts of HIKI NŌ are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo. And by Bank of Hawaii Foundation, investing in Hawaii's future by promoting collaboration, critical thinking, and other 21st century skills through HIKI NŌ.